Hey friends, it's me, the Ebony Otaku, the well-rounded nerd. I know, better camera angle, right? So see over there in the corner, in the back there is my old ring light that is going to go on the street and somebody can take it because we live in the county and you can do that here. And then that is my new one down there and it came with like a smaller tripod. But then it also has like three ways to hold a camera on it and a tablet and a phone and everything else. And it is just giving me life now that I've started using it because I can get much better angles. And y'all can see more of my office when I'm recording, which that's kind of cool. So just different angles. There is the wall of of hoodies. I hate when hoodie weather ends because I love those so much. But it's not hoodie weather; it's too hot for a hoodie. So, but there they are. And then just more of the manga. So two of my walls have the manga motif on them. So I don't put as much stuff covering these walls because I like the black and white. But if you see my other walls, they're like pink, like Hello Kitty pink. And the black and white and pink work really well together. One of my favorite combinations color wise is like right there. I love me a pink and gray, a pink and black, pink and white moment. Like pink with like our dark neutrals, like just chef's kiss, my favorite. It looks good. And black and white I love together too. So anywho, let's talk about why we're here today. We're gonna get back into the book. Lore. We loves the lore. Folks ask me like, why don't you do lore videos? I do. I do. I read from books. I talk about it. I just don't do the highly edited videos with like all the clips and stuff. Am I capable of that? Absolutely. I mean, remember what I do for a living. She's a corporate trainer by trade. Um, which, by the way, yeah, I know my hair looks janky. The braids are coming out today. But by the time this goes up on my channel, I would have already changed hair because in 2 weeks I'm getting my hair rebraided. So I'll probably just throw a purple wig on or a blue wig on for a couple of weeks because next week, at the time of recording this, like exactly in 7 days, I'm going to Mexico with my Taekwondo team. And in 3 days, I'm testing for my 6th degree black belt. That's what I've been practicing for and posting pictures about recently. Yeah, 6th degree. Yeah, I know. I'm shocked too. I told y'all she wasn't 20, which I don't think I'd look that young. Maybe 30s, but not 20. Well, it depends on what I'm wearing too, and what kind of makeup is going on. But yeah, I've been doing Taekwondo. This is my 24th year. I've been in it for 24 years. Um, yeah, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, the hair is on my nerves, and it's got to come down. So a lot will have happened by the time this video comes out. Hair will be different. I would have been in Mexico for a week. I would have tested for my 6th degree black belt. That's an important test because at least in the federation that we practice under, I am both a World Taekwondo Federation black belt and a Mamudaquan black belt. That 6th is master. So yeah, there's that. So I was like, woo! Like I can't believe that much time has passed. Yeah, I know, but yeah, the hair's janky. It braids, you're really only supposed to keep them for like 6 weeks. She will push it to 8 or 10 if she's feeling real lazy, maybe 12. But the kind of braids I got, they held up really really well, and the girl that does my hair always does a really good job, but the edges are just now. I grew into this color. It's not as bright as I usually like my hair to be. I usually prefer much more outrageous colors, but we're going back to outrageous with the next hair. You'll see. Anywho, but yeah, we are here to get back into all that to say. We're going to get back into the book. We're going to talk about Lorgar today, which y'all know how I feel about Lorgar. But yeah, the reason I don't do the highly edited videos is the ones I've tried to do, they always get copyright claimed. So I figure as long as I'm the content, because when it comes to literature and whatnot, the interpretation and the reading, technically I could copyright my interpretation of somebody else's work they wrote down if I said it. That's how plays work. That's how TV works. It's anything that's scripted. But every video I've done where I've tried to put up you haven't seen them because they got claims. I was just like, well, this isn't worth it. And it goes away. So I'm the content, and I do talk about lore. I just don't do it. And there's some great channels out there that have managed to crack the code. It's not worth it to me to crack the code. It's not. It's too much work to figure out how to crack that code. So algorithm can algorithm. I shall stick to getting lore directly out of the books and whatnot, other than clubs. But the video game recording works. Whenever I record playing a game, no problems. And there's music in video games, and that seems to not be an issue. So, how does this work? Someone enlighten me. I don't know. But we're going to talk about Lorgar today. I love me some Lorgar. Because he's not wrong. Alright? I will die on that hill. We're going to talk about why Lorgar isn't wrong. So let me get into my contents here and find my Primark. Am I reading the right book? Yes, this is Horus Heresy, Age of Darkness rulebook. The reason I love the books, the rule books, because we also have the Libre Astartes and the Libre Hereticus as well, because you have to. But it gives you kind of that backstory. So when I went to the 30K event a couple of weeks ago, yeah, we spent our first anniversary weekend doing Warhammer. It's like that. One of the things I really enjoyed was everyone giving the story behind their legion, like their squad of space marines. Like, what had they been through? This is my captain's name. Here's his backstory, and I was just like, yeah, I need backstories. I was like, yeah, I need, and that's what's so great about the books. These, not so much the novels. All the novels are over here in the bookcase. But what's so great about these books is it gives you the information, and then you can just kind of create the world. I think that's why the SCA is so appealing. The Society for Creative Anachronism is you create a persona, a medieval persona, and then get to participate in all the things that persona may have done through art, combat, and all that kind of stuff. So the Warhammer, the Games Workshop, it appeals on so many levels. But let me get to Lorgar, the Aurelian. You know how we do. The 17th Legion of the Legiones Astartes, the Word Bearers. If there is a hierarchy of treachery, then the Word Bearers sit in its highest circle. Once the most devoted and rigorous of warriors, it was not enough that they fell, but they pulled their brother legions into the abyss with them. While the treachery of others came like a storm or the final flowering of a long-buried seed, the Word Bearers' betrayal was poison distilled over long years. From their founding, their devotion to the Imperium and the Great Crusade was beyond questioned. They were the bearers of the ideals of the Imperium, of its vision of the future of humanity. Their loyalty was never questioned, only the form of their devotion. But now their loyalty can never be seen as anything other than a mask, and their fanaticism as a flaw which would undermine all that they once sought to build. Once they were bringers of light to be benighted realms of humanity. But during the Horus Heresy, they brought not only the poisoned darkness of all night, seeking to dominate and bind demons of the warp, they marched alongside denizens of the abyss and rendered eternal damnation to any who dared oppose them. Oh my god, it's so great. Like, seriously, though. Nobody told y'all to write that hard, Black Library. Nobody told you had to go that hard. Like, we just, in real time, not in post-video time. We went to see the director's cuts of Lord of the Rings in theater, 4 hours each. Oh, God, it was so great. Nobody told Andy Serkis to go that hard. Like, come on, Andy Serkis. But that's what makes the movie great, is everybody was all in on their roles. So good. Anyway, but man, y'all be writing in the Black Library. Like, nobody told y'all to go that hard. But it's great. Thank you. I appreciate it. The Bearers of the Word. Such a interesting legion. where the seeds of heresy and treachery were planted and bloomed. Now, why do I stand with the word bearers and Lorgar? Because all they wanted was for their devotion and worship to be recognized. But the emperor rejected them. Now, there's a couple of ways you can look at what happened between the word bearers and the emperor. You can look at it from a religious perspective. You can look at it from a societal and cultural, familial perspective. We'll take the familial route first. So, it cut deep that Lorgar was rejected by the emperor. So, a little bit of imperial history. So, the way Lorgar was raised on his planet, his gene cat, his little capsule baby pod, his Superman pod, landed on a planet that was already religious. They were worshiping chaos gods and didn't know it. And when, Lorgar grows up to be, ooh, look how great I am. Because remember, all these Primarch babies land on planets where they're the most spectacular being that's there. Some of them get lucky and land on, nice, prosperous, cushy planets. But most of them end up on worlds where they got to just struggle to make a life. You know, I don't think there's anything worse than the butcher's nails. As far as like Primarch suffering growing up, we'll get to that one. But Lorgar landed on a world that was already geared toward religious worship. That's what they did. They devoted themselves, and throughout human history, part of anthropological study, humans need something to devote themselves to. I am not here to debate whether or not you should have a religion. That's not it. We're talking about the psychology of the human experience. Even people who don't devote themselves to a religion still have something to devote themselves to. It could be their job, could be their family, could just be the productivity of the self. But they've got something that gives them energy and motivation beyond themselves. And that's where Lorgar landed, only that planet was on the religious side of things. But Lorgar immediately bowed the knee to the Emperor. On some planets, when the Emperor of Mankind shows up, the Primarchs don't immediately go, oh, hey, Dad. What's up, God? How's it going? High five. There are planets where the Emperor shows up and it's a fight. They're like, we don't know you. I don't know you from Adam. So prove it. Show me the holes in your hands. If you got that. Good job. But Lorgar immediately recognizes the emperor as well, God, which the emperor himself states over and over while he's alive. I'm not God. We don't do religion. Okay. I mean, you out here acting like a god, but you're not God. Okay. You out here ain't never been born, ain't never died, but you're not God. Okay. whatever, emperor on your golden throne and your astronomicon. You tell yourself whatever it takes to make this okay. Lorgar was so devoted, he worshipped the emperor as God. He replaced the chaos gods on his planet with devotion to the emperor. It was that intense that the emperor wasn't merely the figurehead and the leader of mankind, he was the god of mankind as far as Lorgar was concerned. And it is actually Lorgar who pens the Lectitio Divinitatis. If you know, you know. That's basically the Bible in 40K. It is the religious text of devotion to worshiping the emperor. And isn't that so ironic? Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? And there's no irony in that song, by the way. But we still love you, Alanis Morissette. We still love you. Living legend. It's like, yay. Okay, I'm done. On your wedding day. Didn't rain on my wedding day. My wedding day was perfect. But in Lorgar's lifetime, his love, devotion, worship of the emperor was rejected, and he was hunted as a heretic. I can't imagine Demon Prince Lorgar and his just pissed offedness, for lack of terming. Find out 10,000 years later that the religion you set up was now widely adopted, but you got driven into the warp. And your planet got destroyed. The perfect city of Monarchia was bombed off the planet out of existence for worshiping the emperor. And then he becomes God anyway. If I was Lorgar, I would come out the warp like every 20 years and just destroy a planet and go back. Like, how dare you? So let me back up. Let me back up. So the emperor actually publicly censured Lorgar at the Council of Nicaea, which, yes, sounds very, very familiar. There is in Christian culture, there was the Council of Nike, which determined the canonicity of what would be included in the Bible, and then certain doctrines on whether or not this doctrine, yes, that doctrine, no, that was determined a long time ago. So, yes, there is a definite parallel there. There just is. That's how literature works. That's why you got to read a lot, because then more things make more sense the more you read them, and you can enjoy them more. The more you know. Rainbow. The longer I'm on YouTube, the sillier I get. The more of like my actual personality comes out. I am like this all the time. Pray for the people around me, because she goofy AF. I'm goofy at work. I don't know how they put up with me. I don't know how I made it so far in corporate America acting this way. Be yourself. You're the only one of you there is, so just enjoy it. But he brings Lorgar to a great council, and Lorgar doesn't know why he's going. That's what makes it suck more. That's the emperor and his mistakes. Like, I would feel worse about the Horus Heresy if the emperor wasn't the reason it happened. Like, he made his own bed. You gotta lie in that messy, nasty bed that you made. Lorgar, when he goes to conquer planets, he doesn't do it the same way that his brothers do. You could almost look at Lorgar as like the cute little baby brother. You know, the heir and the spare. He's the spare, but he's the spare. You know, he ain't even Prince Harry. He's like Prince Harry's nephew 2 times removed, as far as hierarchy goes. Because even though he's a Primarch and he has his legion of the bearers of the word, and they do make war, Lorgar is more likely to win a world over through diplomacy and the indoctrination of the people rather than come into fisticuffs. He avoids actually dropping his space marines on planets as long as he possibly can. And he only does it if he has to. Now when he does it, he's still a Primarch, y'all. I mean, even the weakest Primarch is better than the strongest man. Like, when people ask me about my martial arts, I'm like, look, my bad day beats your best day. Okay? My worst day still beats your best day. I've been practicing for 24 years. You want to do it? We can do it. Okay? I'm not out here trying to start fights. We don't teach that in Taekwondo. I'm not out here trying to, like, get into fisticuffs with people. Boy, that's an old word, and I've used it twice in one video. I'm not out here trying to do any of that. But if you want... I've had people ask me that. They're like, so can you fight? I'm like, I've been practicing a martial art borderline every day for the past 20-something years. What do you think? I don't go out starting them, but I will finish it. But I'm not out trying to get in fights. That's stupid. You know, that's dumb. Only children do stuff like that. Anyway, but that's not what Lorgar does. He has the ability. He can do it. His legion can burn a world to the ground just as well as any other legion. He doesn't want to. He wants to preserve humanity. Because if you go burning down every world, there's not going to be an Imperium at some point. You done killed everybody. You know, when you read about what becomes of humanity in 40K, it's horrifying how people are living post-Horus Heresy. Not that everything was perfect before, but when the worlds were on their own and not part of the Imperium, and they weren't sacrificing all their psychers to the Golden Throne and sending their sons to the Citadel, and then the Space Marine chapters were coming stealing your boys so they could, you know, turn them into, you know, monsters. And then, you know, you got the novitiate taking your daughters, and then, I mean, daggum, there's the Inquisition. They're going to take your kids. And then the hive cities of it all, they're just producing things for the Imperium. It's horrible. We're not going to talk about servitors. We don't talk about servitors. It's terrible. You consider all that, like, it's not great. Post-heresy, it's awful. And Lorgar wants to preserve humans if he runs up against a world that they are not so far genetically removed from humans that they're still human, he's like, you know what, we're gonna keep you. Just come, believe the word. I got a book here, the Lectitio Divinitatis, and I love saying that. Just say it with me, Lectitio Divinitatis. These words, y'all, nobody told y'all to go that hard, Black Library. Ridiculous. But he's like, let's study this word together. Let me enlighten you on this God man, the Emperor. And what is on my lip? She's not editing it out. I don't even know what that was. Probably from my oat smoothie this morning. He brings worlds into compliance through religious coercion, through indoctrination, because that preserves the world, that preserves the people, and to an extent, it preserves their culture. Kind of in line with what Fulgrim wants. Fulgrim is way extreme on the artistic end. He wants to preserve the art, the beauty of humanity. And Lorgar just wants to preserve humans themselves, because if you conquer every world by destroying it, what's left to be in the Imperium? That is, to me, when you think about war, which as long as there's humans, there's always going to be war. We're not that great. I don't care that it's the year 2024. Like, we always going to fight because that's what we do. We can't help ourselves. But when you destroy everything, what's left? When you destroy everyone, what's left? That's the part I can't understand. You want what they have, but if we destroy all of the people in the process, what's left? The world is the people. We are existence. So if we get rid of one another, what's left? Polar bears, penguins, and moose? I mean, I'm sure they'll be happy here without us, but that's where there's such a flaw in the Emperor's plan, because the Emperor's plan is, I'm sorry, not worship me, serve me, be a part of the Imperial Man, or we destroy you. And the Space Marines will wipe out swarms of humanity, destroy entire races, entire planets without a second thought if they say no. And Lorgar doesn't want to do that. One of the most powerful ways to capture the hearts and minds of people, one is politics, the other is religion. That's just how it is, because people want to belong to something bigger than themselves. And that's the route Lorgar chooses. And the Emperor is not happy about it, because the Emperor has decreed no religion except the Mechanicum. Y'all make the bullets, so whatever. Y'all worship that machine god. As long as you make me ships, bullets, and titans, I don't care who you worship. Okay, whatever. Worship me, I don't care. But keep making bullets, thank you. But the rest of you, ignore Mars. Mars is over there. The rest of you, no religion. And he lets Lorgar do things the way he's doing them for a long time. Because when the Horus Heresy happens, we're about 200 years into the Great Crusade. So they've just been out there warring everywhere. Their standard practice, follow me or be destroyed. The Emperor lets it go for a while. But then it gets to a point where he's just like, okay, this worship thing, it's gone too far. It's gone too far. Okay. We're going to have a talk, Lorgar. We're going to have a talk. And not just the worship thing. Lorgar and his folks, they make use of warp magic. He has active psychers. And the Emperor didn't just decree no religion. He decreed do not go near chaos, do not go near the warp, no ruinous powers, no magic, none of that, no psychers, just I mean, bringing it back to religious text, the Bible straight up says don't tamper with unfamiliar spirits. It didn't say they don't exist. It says don't go there. You're going to wake something up that you can't put back. All right, just leave it alone. It's like, I'm not telling you it's not there. I'm telling you don't touch. And that's what the Emperor did. The Emperor, as a stand-in for God in this universe, says don't go there. You can wake something up that you can't put back. But the Emperor's mistake is not telling them what the danger is. He just says there is danger. Not what it is, just don't. I said so. This is my sovereign will. I said so. But even where there is sovereign will, human gonna do what human gonna do. Human be humaning. He decreed, and human said, but there might be something real shiny behind that dark black door. So not only is Lorgar flouting the decree that there shall be no religion, he is also employing within his legion powers that have been forbidden. And the emperor has had it all the way up to here. You see where here is? He's up here. But more, my hand's out the frame now. He's here. The emperor could have censured Lorgar in private, but he wanted to make an example of him. One of the things we teach in corporate America is you praise in public and you censure in private. You don't censure people publicly. And I teach that unless there's something catastrophic happening and someone's going to get hurt, you save admonition for behind closed doors. Especially when it comes to somebody's credibility and their space in a public arena, you can damage that if you censure the wrong way. Like even if I disagree with someone on a fundamental level, I will never seek to humiliate someone. Like I recently had a philosophical and theological disagreement with someone. I did not go out to the world of my congregation and cause a ruckus because I had a disagreement. Did you know it's okay to disagree and you can just be cool? It's possible. I know I do it every day. And I brought my disagreement in private to the people that I disagreed with and had a private discussion. It wasn't for the world to be a part of, because if I did that, my understanding and where somebody else's understanding might be completely different. Because I'm one of the people that just studies for fun. So if I hear something, I'm like, I don't know I don't know about that. I will ask, I will question, but I'm not going to create angst in other people's hearts and minds who don't have to have that. But what good does that do? Zero good. That does zero good is what that does. Because what that would have done is put other people in a position of having to, I don't know what, for lack of terming, defend their position. And then I would have been in, on the other side of the chessboard trying to make moves and prove a point. Not worth it. Not worth it. You censure in private. Some discussion you don't have out front. Like in my job, if I have a disagreement with maybe a policy, what you don't do, this is some job. Y'all know I give advice in every video. What you don't do at your job is get on, some public forum at your job and be like, hey, this policy's stupid. What are you thinking? Now, I will say, hey, boss. Everybody's got a boss. Hey, boss person. Here are my thoughts about this. Or to my team of people that I am close with and we do all of our work together. What do we think about this? How are we going to do this thing? How are we going to manage this? You don't do things and just drop bombs, fly out and think everything's going to be okay. Censure privately, like even with children. Like, look, I get it. Raising kids in a social media world, it sucks. But I don't think any good comes of publicly humiliating children to millions of strangers. That getting punished at home is bad enough, that your siblings and maybe your friends knew about how you got punished. I cannot imagine 10 million strangers laughing at my humiliation as a child. Especially when I think back to, some of my childhood. I'm like, I would never have wanted the whole internet to know about that. Like we didn't have that happen to us as children. I don't think people have quite understood the effect that public humiliation has on people. Like there is a whole culture in Japan called the hikikomori of people who tried to adapt to society and could not. And when they do a lot of study with these people who have basically enclosed themselves, because you can get a work from home job now, everything can be ordered. They don't leave their homes. They can't do it. A lot of it stems back to some humiliating events in their childhood or even humiliating events in the workplace, and they can't cut it. They can't do it anymore. And so they have pulled their whole world into 600 square feet, and that's their world. Public censure is dangerous. Some things do have to be made public. I don't think, if we find out somebody, hurts people, and yeah, we need them, drug out in front of the courthouse. It's like, oh, you did what? Okay, yeah. But there are some things you talk about in private, and that's the mistake the emperor made. Because he let Lorgar for 2 centuries do what Lorgar was doing. The time to have talked to Lorgar would have been 150 years earlier. But he waited until what Lorgar was doing had blossomed across the Imperium. And then it became a problem. And Lorgar had to be made an example of. The Council of Nike. or Nicaea. Brings them to a planet, has Perturaba, the builder of the Primarchs, construct a great Colosseum with a center podium. And most of the Primarchs are there. Members of their legionaries, their captains are there. It's a great host. And it's not often that the Emperor of Mankind in these days would leave Terra and have a bunch of Primarchs together and a bunch of their legionaries. Like, it was just a magnificent gathering. And in that gathering, the Emperor made a public, humiliating example of Lorgar. You have to remember, the Primarchs are basically the Emperor's children. He created them. They are his gene sons, for lack of better terming. He is their father. And what do children want more than the unconditional love of their parents? To think that they have done the right thing in the eyes of their parents and to be praised for what they've done. And the Emperor humiliates Lorgar in front of his brothers, in front of his subordinates, in front of his planet, and tells him that everything he has built and everything that he loves and everything that he practices is wrong. And he didn't do it privately. It was as public could be. Lorgar didn't stop what Lorgar was doing. Public humiliation does not make people bend to your will. The Emperor was under the assumption that because I'm the Emperor, not God, but I'm the Emperor, that you have to do what I say. Do the thing. You're one of my sons. I gave you a legion. Do what I say. But the thing is, the homeworld of Lorgar existed before the Emperor knew what was out there. And that's where the Emperor is really more human than God. Because, the Emperor should have seen this coming. Because the Emperor was shocked. Because the Emperor found out that Lorgar didn't walk away from the Nike, the Council of Nike, a renewed man. And, you know what? We're just going to change everything and just do what Daddy said. Let's just go fix everything. No. Lorgar dug his little heels in and kept on going. and kept on because he believed that the Emperor was the Emperor didn't know how holy and great he was. It's just that was the problem. The Emperor didn't know he was God. And then in comes Rabute. Rabute. I love saying that name. Rabute. You gotta roll the R. It doesn't work. Oh, them Ultramarines. I love them and I hate them. My other legion, my two loyalist legions that I'm building are Salamanders and Ultramarines. And Salamanders I've talked about, and the Ultramarines I'll get into why I rocks with Rabute, because Vulcan lives. But once you get into the Imperium Secundus and all that, it's like, oh, okay, I rocks with your Rabute. I get it. I see where you're going. But the Emperor sends Rabute and the Ultramarines to Lorgar's homeworld, and there is a city on this world called Monarchia, and it is heralded as the perfect city. It is beautiful in every way. Not a piece of land has been discarded or unused. Glorious architecture. Every citizen has a purpose. It is prosperous. They are fed, and they live in devotion to Lorgar and to the Imperium of Mankind, and mostly to the Emperor, but they're still worshiping him. The Emperor catches wind of this, sends the Ultramarines. They empty the city of Monarchia brutally. He sends his Marines down there to literally chase people out of the city. Get out. People are walking about their lives, and get out. The city is emptied, and then it is bombed off the face of the planet. Destroyed. Perfect city, gone. It can never be rebuilt. It's one of those things that you can never get back. It's kind of like an ant tunnel system. You've seen those people who've poured the concrete into these giant abandoned ant colonies, and they pull out this amazing artwork of yards and yards and yards of what they've created. It's one of those things. That's what Monarchia is. It can never be remade because it's thousands of years of human creation. And then Lorgar's changed forever. There were already some of his legionaries who had turned to chaos. Lorgar wasn't aware, but once that happened, they knew they could then bring their Primarch over to the dark side. That's why I rocks with Lorgar. I rock with Lorgar. All Lorgar wanted was the approval of his father, which at our core, all humans want. We want the approval of our parents. Look at me, acknowledge me, praise me, build me up so that I can become something great, so that when I'm an adult, I'm not an adult that has to spend a ton of time repairing all the damage that was done. But the Emperor doesn't understand what he made. He thought that these gene sons he made, even though they were scattered about the galaxy, that when he came to them, they would automatically fall into line because he created them, so his creation must follow him. He didn't understand what he made. He did not know, and he had no plan of redeeming them if they fell. He had no plan of bringing them back into his fold. And that was the Emperor's mistake. And I think that's really clever of the Black Library writers, even though there's so much religious mythology that's built into the Warhammer universe, of making such an important distinction of why the Emperor can't be seen as a true god. Because a true god would have made a plan, would have known this would happen, and had a plan to bring his people back into his fold. And the Emperor didn't see that. The Emperor had no plan. There was no plan B. There was no plan A. The plan was his plan. And the plan was, I made you, you follow me. And is what some of his Primarchs said to him. Some of the Primarchs landed on worlds, we'll get to some, that are just disgustingly brutal. And that they came out of those worlds thinking and believing anything other than kill all humans is amazing. But Lorgar's turn is one of the most honest. It is the most honest. The Emperor earned that one. He earned that L. Like, he had so many opportunities to sit down with son Lorgar in private and say, hey, son, let's have a chat. Let's you and me get closer together and let's figure this thing out. No. Emperor it all over the place. And this is what you get. And, I mean, there are so many great lessons, and that's why I love Warhammer so much. They do such a good job of incorporating great fiction with modern themes, religious mythology, ancient mythology, from other cultures. That they do such a good job of blending in psychology of how humans operate, societal norms. It's just, magnificently written. And to have so many authors building this cohesive universe, that makes it even better. My inner nerd leaps with joy at the complexity of what it is to create the Black Library. But the Emperor, he earned Lorgar. He did that. If that's not what you wanted, Mr. Emperor, you should have made other choices. This is completely on you. And I stand with Lorgar. Yep. And that is why the first army I built was a Word Bearer's Kill Team. Chaos. And they are magnificent. Some of my finest work. Because I've only built 2 armies so far. The Primarch Lorgar. Colchis was a world of old gods. It is said that religion was in the air, in the touch of the sun and the taste of the dust that hung in the air. To its people, worship of higher powers was as much a part of them as the beating of their hearts and the crying of their children. Bound in feudal traditions, it had once been a world of technology, but those days lay long forgotten in old night. When the infant Lorgar fell from the sky of Colchis, his legion had yet to be born on Terra, and the faith of Colchis was held in the hand of a priesthood called the Covenant. Raised among its priestly caste, Lorgar would grow to become one of its number. In time, he turned on those who had raised him, leading a crusade to destroy them in the name of not the old gods, but of one god. A god of gold and light who spoke to him in his dreams. When the Emperor reached Colchis, there could be no doubt in Lorgar's mind that he knelt before his god. Lorgar soon converted his legion to belief in the Emperor's divinity, using the nature of the Great Crusade itself. Across countless fronts of the legion, he fought and suffered casualties as he recruited anew. As this attrition mixed the old with the new, Lorgar's sons accepted what was taught to them because it was the only truth offered. In the case of those of Colchis, the belief in the divine was ingrained into every thought from birth. And when all was done, when the final imperial herald had embraced the faith, when the last of the old iconoclasts had died, then Lorgar added the final flourish of ritual to seal his victory. The imperial heralds would become the word bearers. The rest of the Imperium, still ignorant of the change wrought in the 17th, the name reflected their part in bringing the imperial truth to all of humanity. To Lorgar, it was an affirmation of his purpose: to give humanity faith in the God of its pinnacle. Look, I don't know what to tell you if you are not about that religious life. They a whole bunch of it in Warhammer is there. You can't avoid it. And again, it's not about indictments on what people believe individually. I think it is a really good way, like I've said before, using fiction to examine what goes on in our real world and how we apply those things. Because then we can separate ourselves from the reality of the world we're in and take an objective view of those things. That's what good fiction does. That's what good art does. All this art. All this art. It's not my art. That's Naoko Takeuchi's art. That's Hayao Miyazaki's art. My auntie made that. But that's what good art does. It causes us to pause, examine, and examine it in a different way because it's an outside voice, but talking about realities that we all experience. I love good art. I love good writing. Don't you love good art and good writing? Well, you should. Warhammer. This was a fun one for me, friends. I do love it. Was a long one. 40 minutes. She had 40 minutes? My God, today. What can I say? She loves the Warhammer. I love the lore. There is so much more. This is only the 4th Primark I've talked about. there's 14 more. And the Emperor. And the Novitiate. and the Inquisition. We got a lot to go through. I got content for years in this room. So I hope you will all be with me over the years as we just keep exploring all of these great nerdy properties together. Hope you enjoyed this one. It was fun for me. I hope it was fun for you. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.